Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. We're live on Park City Television, of course, bringing you the best of the Park City community. And we care so much not only about our kids outside and enjoying all the activities that Park City provides, but also the incredible education through our public school system. Now, I'm thrilled to be joined by our friend, Dr. Ember Conley, Superintendent of Public Schools, and the President of the School Board, Phil Kaplan. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we just had a board meeting. And I know everybody is always curious about the results of these meetings, and you're both here to give us a rundown of what was decided, what was discussed, and what has been tabled for a little bit to keep everybody in the community updated. So let's start and jump right in with the bond project's decision.
Right. So we both are very much a part of the process. So we have three projects we're looking at. The high school expansion, which, as you know, we've been working on that for way over a year. And we now have on the table a 5-6 elementary school. And we've put together a team to begin looking at where that school will be, and then, of course, what it's going to look like inside. And then the next part, I'll let you talk about.
All right.
Phil, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. And then the third part is we've heard loud and clear from the community that they want, as we are looking at expanding schools for immediate needs and building a new school for immediate needs, also to really look long term, since Park City now has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as it's been pointed out, to look at what the schools of the future might look like. And since our valley is quickly filling in with houses, we need to make sure that we have space for which means land, for future high school or future middle school.
So is part of the discussion expanding the current high school or potentially even having two different high schools?
Right. So right now what we're looking at is expanding our current high school. And we've capped it at 2,000 students. And with our projections, it looks like we have about 10 years before that would be at capacity.
Okay.
I think it's important also for our community to understand that this next school year, 2017-18, there's going to be modulars in front of some of our schools, so more additional space for that. I think when we had our first bond, there was that question, are you really at capacity? And 2 years later, I think that we can, surprise, I know, we really are at capacity.
Yes. So then moving towards the 5th and 6th grade, I know that was a huge debate about how to group the students in themselves, let alone the actual facilities. What is that going to look like?
You know, one thing that we're going to continue to say is that we're doing this in the best interest of our students. And when you look at the middle level learners and how they are different than even your early elementary, we're focusing on that type of learning. So looking at, for sure, project-based, hands-on, lots of challenge-based learning. I think what we've seen really in the last couple of years, and this is a nationwide phenomenon, that our children aren't engaged at the level that we want them to be. And so it's our responsibility as educators and community members to provide systems that they can be engaged and be challenged.
Well, and I think too, just having the division between the 5th and 6th graders versus the 7th and 8th graders socially and developmentally, even outside of the classroom, just to keep them more closely with their peers and maybe not expose them to so much so early. And we've seen that, of course, in the community recently. I think that's just as important.
And I would also say that, you know, being a former elementary principal, 5th graders are different than 3rd and 4th graders. It's really a unique time in their development, and we're excited to be able to have some very small learning communities within the school for the 5th graders, for the 6th graders, and it does resolve some of the issues that we have with capacity of our buildings, as well as some of the curriculum challenges that we've been facing.
And some of the land acquisitions that are being proposed for these expansions, where would that look like in the community?
We're looking to make, well, we can't talk about specific plots, but what I can say is we've designated the site. We have a site at Bear Hollow and a site at Silver Creek that we've designated for future schools. They're both the size of an elementary school area.
Okay.
And then we're looking for a high school sized site, which would be roughly 50 acres, and we're looking at various options.
I love that. Yeah, and I mean, coming from Boston, my high school, I think they capped out at about 2,500. And driving back now, it looks like a small college campus. You know, it requires some space to have that many students.
It does, and working with the architects, that's what I've learned so much through this process. But you know, high schools require different programming for the athletics, for the activities, for these career and technical education programs that are required by the state for them to explore. So they do require unique spaces. I think it's also important to know that we have a large space at Ecker, and also, of course, on Kern's campus, where our high school currently sits. So we do have options, and I think that's a lot of what our 5-6 site team is going to look at. Where's the best place to put our 5th and 6th graders? With the thinking too, you know, 10 years, if we have a new high school, if we need another, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, where's that going to be?
Well, and I think what a fantastic problem that the public school system offers the students so many activities, so many classes, so many opportunities, that space becomes the issue, not necessarily what you're providing.
I could not agree more.
That's a good problem. And finally, with the start times, I know this is something that I'm sure every parent at drop-off and everyone shoving their kid in the morning is thinking about. That's something that's been tabled a little bit, but what's the discussion like on a later start time for our students?
Sure. Well, for one, the board has already decided that a later start time for our high school aged children and students is policy. So, and the reason is you improve student safety, mental health, and academic achievement. It's a no-brainer, and it's been done nationally. If anything, we're one of the later communities to look at doing it. Now, as far as the logistics of implementing it, it's challenging because of Park City's specific transportation and other issues. So we are, you know, the motion that was made at this most recent board meeting was to implement it for the 2018 to 19 school year, and we provided that we can get the right implementation information around that at an upcoming board meeting, we can then bring that back on the table and try to put that in place.
Fantastic.
Right, and we went back the very next day as an administrative team and started putting the request from the board together. And some of those questions are, what's the impact going to be to our after-school programs if our children are there either shorter or longer? And if, depending on with our elementary students, if we start school later for them, what's the options for before school care? Because we do have, you know, we have a significant population of working parents. The other thing that we've looked at, and we already have the numbers back, is with us beginning later for our high school, and we have over 67% of our students in an activity. What's the impact going to be at the end of the day when they're being released to go to different communities to play sports?
Fantastic. And then what does that look like? How late are they getting home? I mean, there's so many logistics that go into the decision, but it sounds like you all are putting a lot of thought into it, and the decision will be made in a really practical way. All right, Dr. Ember, Conley, Phil Kaplan, thank you so much for being here and keeping us informed, and appreciate everything you do for our kids in the schools.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Mountain Morning Show. We're going to be back with another favorite organization, Utah's Big Brother, Big Sisters, right after this.